1. When I was 17, I moved to college 2 hours away from home and took residence in the dorms on campus. The dorms were not run through the school, but through a management company. There were a lot of safety problems in the dorms as a result of this: assaults, ODs, drugs, shootings right outside, etc. I am a 100-pound female, so I always watched out for serious situations around me. Everything was great. I had some awful roommates, but I was mostly left alone. One day in September, I was leaving for class early in the morning when I spotted a condom taped to my name tag on the door. It had a note that read, "Call me, kiss hug, with some random phone number. I told the RAs and nothing came of it. I just thought it was some random prank pulled by one of the guys on the floor. Things went south with my roommates, mostly because of my night terrors scaring them, even though I warned them before we even agreed to be roommates. So I was moved into a 2-bedroom dorm with my new roommate, Jay. We each had our own room. After a week of living there, I started noticing things were appearing in the living room while we were sleeping. I asked Jay about it, and she vehemently denied it was her. One day we noticed that the lock on the front door did not lock properly. If you pulled on the lock and twisted the handle at the same time, the door would come open. Around the same time, I started getting Snapchats of inappropriate things, vague threats and offers for great sex. I would get ones that would say things like, "You look great today with that specific article of clothing I was wearing." I filed a report to the dorms to get the lock fixed, but it took 4 months. 8 complaints, threat of legal action, and my friend D yelling at them to get any action. We got our door fixed. But the presence still appeared outside of the door with notes for me. I was still receiving Snapchats. But I moved out of the dorms into an apartment with my then boyfriend. The Snapchats continued. Then I started getting calls at my work. I worked for the dean's office of my college, and I was in charge of answering phones. Every day I would get 3 or more calls from randomly generated numbers. Discovered it was through apps like Viber and Skype after I reported it to the police and they investigated. I would answer the phone. "CLAS, Dean's office, this is Fantapants, how may I help you?" I would hear heavy breathing for a few seconds, then they would hang up. I thought it was just some 12-year-old pranking our office until my coworker got a call. She answered with her name, and the person on the line asked if they could speak with me. Thinking it was one of the deans that I had been working with, she forwarded it to my phone. I answered and I received the same heavy breathing and hang-up. I reported it to my boss. She did nothing. One of the deans overheard the conversation and reported it to Title IX. Oh boy. Talking to them was a mistake. After the meeting with them, the threats started getting worse, and this person found me in my new apartment. One day in December, I was dog-sitting 2 wonderful dogs who hated other dogs and would bark at them on sight. It was around 11 p.m. and I decided to take them out before bed. We get outside. To the right of me is a bunch of thick trees that are hard to see through. I start to take the girls to the grass on the left. They start growling and barking at something in the trees. Thinking it's another dog, I try to pull them away, but they will not budge. I glance over, and out of the trees comes a tall man. But the weird thing is, he's wearing a Michael Myers-like mask. He starts rushing towards me. The dogs get between me and him. He stops. I run up the stairs behind me into the apartment as he is disappearing into the trees again. Stupidly, I don't call the police, but I see him one more time before I move to buy my new apartment. Things are quiet for a while. My boyfriend and I break up, and I spend the first few days in the new apartment alone. Come to find out, the window that can be accessed from the ground doesn't lock. One morning I wake up. Everything seems normal. I check the mirror to do my hair before work. I have a bald spot. My head was shaved in the middle of the night. I find my hair tied up in knots in an envelope. I immediately call the police. They do an investigation, Find the window was broken but can't find anything to figure out who it was that came into my apartment. They asked me to compile a list of everything that was missing, and the only thing gone, other than my hair, was 3 pairs of dirty underwear. An investigation finds no one. I have since moved. I no longer answer phones at my work, and I keep bear spray next to my bed at all times. 2. It happened quite recently. I am Catholic, or rather I was raised Catholic, and I am a member of several Catholic groups on Facebook. I am not very active. Sometimes I like posts or comment, but not very often. So several weeks ago, I saw a new friend request from someone I didn't know. I didn't accept it. I PM'd this person to ask him if we know each other. He said that we didn't, but he saw me in a group and thought I'd be nice to talk to. It sounds strange, since the guy was clearly in his 50s, if he was the guy in his profile pic, and I am in my 20s. I wrote, "I see," and started to rationalize it. Well, maybe he's just lonely. Maybe it's just because he's Catholic. Maybe he doesn't have friends, so I, out of weakness, accepted his request. And the first thing I did was investigation of his Facebook wall. And many posts. Not many likes. Posts about luxury yachts, big villas, his dogs, his vacations. But he is not in these pictures. And these pictures clearly look like something you could find on the internet. It's definitely fake. So now I think, okay, it's just a guy that doesn't have a life and wants to leave a good impression. Not really. He talked about himself. He said, "I'm a widower." Then I said, "I'm sorry." His reaction was like, "It was years ago." Like he didn't care at all. Then he started to talk about his money, his villa in the USA, and one in another country. He said that he invites me to one in Europe, since I am from Europe, and he added, "But no worries, I won't be there." From there I knew that something was wrong. So why did I keep talking with him? Because I needed proof. He usually talked about how a lot of women are compulsive liars, and how he is so great, so kind, so helpful. When I told him that I am not really interested in visiting him, he said something along the lines, "No worries, I am honest. I'm not a human trafficker." Who says that? Who the hell says that? Now I had it clear, almost clear, but what can I do? I am aware of the possible stranger dangers, but I was afraid that he really might be someone very dangerous, and that he might hurt someone, not necessarily me. So several days ago I saw a post on Facebook, the widower in a relationship with a girl. She looked so young, younger than me, barely legal. I think she must be Filipina. Many emotions rushed and I PM'd her. I asked her, "Do you know him? Have you ever met him?" She says no. I warned her, but I don't think she understood much. Then I blocked the guy, but before that I took screenshots of some of our conversations just in case. Then I messaged the mods of this Catholic group he was in. They were scared too. Now he is out of this group. I thought it was the end of this story, but my friend said that the widower contacted him on Facebook. Funnily enough, I never told him about this friend. I never told him about anyone. I just told him that I had an older boyfriend to discourage him. I think he thought my friend was my boyfriend. So basically the conversation was strange. The widower asked my friend if I am his girlfriend. My friend answered no, and told him that I don't have a boyfriend, but I have a lot of friends. Then the widower said that he doesn't want to be a problem or stand between us, or whatever that means. My friend said that his answers were like cops' answers, well measured, very secretive. My friend said that he thinks the guy gave up. Well, I hope so. P.S. My friend says that this guy probably added me because my Facebook picture is quite old, and I look about 18 in it. And maybe because I am from Central Eastern Europe, and he somehow thinks this type is more vulnerable. I don't know. I don't think I want to know. I hope that I will never have a questionable pleasure to meet him. 3. I was having dinner with a Tinder date this evening, and somehow we ended up sharing scary stories of things that have happened to us. I told him a couple of mine, and he told me I should put this one specifically on here, so here I am, sharing this with you as well. First off, I was 17 when this happened in 2016, and I am a girl, for context. My house is laid out kind of funny. To get to the front door, you have to walk down the drive at the side of the house. And to get to the back door, you have to go through a 7-foot gate. It's pretty obvious which door is the front door, though, which makes this experience even creepier. I have 2 dogs, a border collie called Daphne, and a little rescue sprawly lab mix called Dolly. These dogs are my pride and joy, so when my parents suggested leaving them with a sitter so we could all go visit my brother in America, I said no. I didn't want to trust someone else with my dogs, and to be honest, as cool as a trip to America sounds, it was a long trip just to stay with my brother in Utah. I'm not a bad sister, just a good dog owner. My parents told me that they would still go, and I could stay here with the dogs. This wasn't a big deal, since I'd stayed home alone before and wasn't really scared of being by myself at night or anything. So in 2016, about a year after they'd booked the holiday, my dad is very conscientious about booking in advance and saving money. Off they went to Utah, and I stayed home with my pups. They were going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so my mom had left me a list of things that needed doing. Feeding the dogs, taking the rubbish out, that sort of thing. I wasn't really the type of person to throw massive parties or even go to them, so I was pretty happy to just spend my summer in my home and chill. Things went smoothly at first, just normally. Nothing to write home about. The best part was I would take the dogs on the best walks, where they could get absolutely filthy since my mum didn't usually like it when they came back from a walk covered in mud. I don't remember which day it was that I had been home alone for. I wasn't keeping track since it was summer. And I didn't have a schedule for college or work. I do remember, though, that it was about 5 o'clock, so it was still light outside, but the sky had a nice pink glow to it. I was sitting in the front room, which I don't usually do when my parents are home, because that's where they sit and we don't watch the same shows. So I sprawled myself out on the sofa with my feet up, and probably watching Grey's Anatomy or something I liked. Then someone rang the doorbell. Not that crazy, but the thing was that they had rung the doorbell at the back of the house. I don't know why we have a doorbell at the back door, since no one had ever really used it apart from to play pranks and stuff. So it was really odd that someone would reach over the side of the gate where it was shorter, unlock it, and go to the back door. And even weirder because it was a small village, and everyone pretty much knew each other and knew that the front door was much more accessible. I wasn't worried, just a bit annoyed that someone was bothering me, so I got up and answered the door looking a little pissed off. The man wasn't particularly tall or intimidating. My dogs seemed to like him as well, but they're soppy things and will make a fuss of anyone. I ordered them off of him, and they retreated back to the front room, clearly already bored of the visitor. He said that he was a salesman of some sort and that he was confused by the layout of my house. So he let himself in through the back way. He was smiling at me timidly, kind of embarrassed, I think, or at least pretending to be. I told him it was fine, but I am not interested in buying anything, and began to close the door. But he put a hand up to stop me and try and give me a sales pitch. That's when the dogs started going nuts at the front door. They're barkers, but the barking they were doing was aggressive, something I hadn't heard before from them. I told the man that I was sorry, but he needs to leave, and went to investigate. The front door was literally a few steps away from the back, but you had to round a corner to do it. And as I did, I saw a man with 1 foot in my door, 1 hand on my dog's collar, Daphne's, and the other one raised to hit her. I quickly realized what was happening, that someone was trying to distract me at the back door so someone else could break in the front and rob me, or worse. It felt like my body was deflating with this realization, and I was honestly terrified. The man at the back door didn't seem to follow me in. In fact, I had a view from the front room window from where I was standing, and saw him get into their little Corsa pretty much as soon as I had seen his friend at my front door. I hope this is making sense. Anyway, the man had his hand up to hit Daphne, the collie, but Dolly, who was very protective of her new family after being rescued, and had some pretty razor-sharp teeth, was having none of it. I'm not sure exactly where she bit him, but she seemed to do it all over, and Daphne soon joined in. I'd never seen a dog attack before, but it was actually quite gory. I literally stood there for a few seconds in pure shock. As silly as it sounds, the only thing I could think of while my dogs were attacking the intruder was that if they killed him, they might have to be put to sleep. So I stupidly called them off. It took a few yells, but they did eventually release the man, who got up and limped/ran to the Corsa his friend was waiting in, thankfully not coming in any further to my house. Yes, I called the police. No, we don't have cameras. So naturally, not much came of it. I didn't tell the police that my dogs attacked the man, just that they had scared him off, because I was honestly terrified that they would be punished for protecting their home. So I kept the doors locked all day for the rest of my spell home alone. My parents came back early, and we do the same thing to this day. All I can say is that I'm so grateful for my dogs, and words can't explain how much I love them. Oh, and also I'm seeing my Tinder date again next week, so there's a second happy ending for you. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 304. I swear these are zipping by really quickly. We'll be at 400 before you know it. Well, I've been having some computer troubles recently. Thankfully my work PC, which is what I use for these videos, hence work PC, is okay, but I have a PC in the living room, which is generally used just for playing games and entertainment. Its purpose is to serve as a backup in case anything happens to the work one. Right, so the other day, yesterday, I'm recording these on Friday, so that would have been Thursday. I was out buying some groceries so that, I didn't starve and things like that, and wacky stuff in Hellfreezer's world. I was buying some groceries. It's a nice hot day, so I cycled up, cycled back. Thought to myself, okay, that's taken care of. I'm going to plop myself down on the sofa with a nice cool drink and spend the rest of the night just relaxing. I'll have the fan on, I'll have the front door open, because when the weather's nice and hot and sunny, I like to have the front door open. It does let flies in, but you can deal with them. There's things you can do to deal with them. That was the plan, I was going to do that, so I got home, put the groceries away, and turned the plug-in all on, and I was about to start the PC, and then, plop my butt down on the sofa, and boom. 'Twas a tiny boom, but a boom nonetheless. And I knew that wasn't a good sign, because nothing in the living room was on. I eventually had to go flip the breaker, the trip switch, whatever you call it, and power came back on, and the PC wasn't starting. Everything else was fine, but the PC wasn't starting. So that eventually, I was like, oh, right, this is going to take ages to figure out what's wrong with it. Please don't be an expensive fix. Well, that one went right out the window. So I saw, right, no power getting to the motherboard, so first thing I could do to test that was simply take out the PSU and try the one from my work computer, which I didn't really want to do because it's bloody annoying to have to unplug everything, because I've got it set up in such a way that it's against the wall and all the wires are behind it. And anyway, did that, took it out, tested it, and sure enough, power was getting to the motherboard with the PSU I knew was definitely working. So turned out that was the problem. I had to order a new one and installed it today, and it seems to be working okay. I just hope nothing's been broken when the PSU from the power source blew. The computer seems okay. My VR system was plugged in at the time, so I'll test that later to make sure the Vive's still working okay. Because it's been a day I've been without it, and I'm already getting annoyed that I can't play it. And I just realised I am rambling on and on and on, and this outro is getting really long, so I'm going to go. But long story short, my backup PC seems to be working again, so fingers and toes crossed as I test it over the weekend, which you will already have passed from your perspective, that it's alright. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.